Hi everyone, it's Toki, and today I'm going to be making my own art-themed magical girls. So, instead of jumping straight into the actual character designs, I actually found myself thinking a bit more about the overall concept and looked for references to help with that. If you look at various magical girl anime, you'll notice that while the girls' individual outfits may differ from each other, there still tends to be a unifying style. I decided to go for the overdress style. I don't know if that's the real name for it, but that's what I call them. But you know that style where you wear a dress, or sometimes it's more of a skirt with like suspenders, and you wear it over a cute shirt. I felt like that would encapsulate the frilly girly style that's traditionally associated with magical girls. And also, I don't know if it was just a trend at the time, but when I was in college and taking art classes, I felt like quite a lot of the girls would do some form of this suspender skirt look, and now I think I just subconsciously associate this type of outfit with art students. Oh, I forgot. The next thing I did was okay, so I have this project that I've been working on, and it involves this island that I made called Soupland. I know, I know. But yeah, so I have this map of Soupland that I'm still kind of developing, and it has all these towns and cities and stuff that are named after things you may find in soup. And one of them is called Celery City. So I cut out this little part of the map where Celery City is and decided to make that the location of the art university that the girls attend. And I call it CelArts, because, you know, CalArts, CelArts, CalArts. Anyway, then I started thinking about the item or trinket that's used for transformation, like the Mew pendants from Tokyo Mew Mew or the Soul Gems from Madoka Magica. Since I wanted to make this all art themed, my mind went to those mini art kits. I don't know if y'all know about those, but I remember wanting one when I was a kid. I don't even know why, because I know I most likely wouldn't have used it since they're so tiny. I just thought they were really cute and cool. But yeah, I made a little trinket based on that, and I imagined that when they're in their normal human forms, I guess, the girls would just wear it as whatever preferred accessory they like. Finally, I wanted to create a creature to act as the cute mascot that a lot of magical girl anime tend to have, as well as the being that sort of bestows the ability to transform onto them. I kinda tried to make it a mix between a bunny and a fox, and I also gave them horns and angel wings, just to cause confusion. Because I feel like ever since I watched Madoka Magica, whenever I see one of these cute mascot guys, I always have this thought in the back of my head like, are they an angel or a devil? You know, like, are they good or evil? So I included both of those features as a nod to that. The K on his collar stands for Carl, because that's his name, just Carl. The first character I drew was the traditional artist, specifically one that works in monochromatic values. Her preferred media are graphite, charcoal, and India ink. I decided to name her Diamond. For her design, I wanted to make her seem very prestigious and put together. I imagined that she came from a rich family where she received one-on-one lessons for various things, and coming from old money and old traditions, her family very much valued traditional versions of the arts. When she wanted to learn dance, her parents only gave her a teacher for traditional ballet. When she wanted to learn music, she was only allowed to study classical. And of course, when she was interested in drawing, she was taught solely with traditional tools. She gravitated the most toward charcoal as she felt it to be one of the most forgiving to work with. And that's important to her because, well, she was raised to be a perfectionist. And with charcoal pieces, it was easier for her to go back and correct every mistake that would eat at her perfectionist mind. She got into Celery Institute of the Arts very easily, because of her parents. Of course, they paid her college tuition in full, they have the money. And while this may be the dream of many, it's actually a bit of a thorn in Diamond's side. See, while Diamond is very proud of her family name and is grateful for the privileges that come with it, it's also burdened her with an extreme case of imposter syndrome. She never knows if anything that she does is actually good enough, or if it's just accepted because of her lineage. It's her biggest insecurity. even down to being a student at Cell Arts. Every day she looks around her class and sees all these other talented artists, artists that got in by having their portfolio looked through and given a scholarship and acceptance letter. Artists that earned their way in with their talent and hard work. And then there's Diamond, who wonders every day if she were born into a different family, if her parents didn't use their name and money to get her into the school, would she have still been accepted? Would she have also been able to get in from her talent and hard work like her classmates? Does she actually deserve her spot in this school? She also fears that other people think this about her too, and that they may judge and despise her because of it. Since her art medium primarily involves using light and dark values to form shapes, I feel like her magical powers would involve something similar. Like maybe she can bend waves of light or manipulate shadows to create solid objects or illusions or something. I don't know. I haven't thought through that too much. Also, for her magical girl version, I turned her hairband into a crown as a nod to her affluence and included diamonds on her outfit as a reference to her name. This next character is the Painter. I made her a very nurturing, motherly, emotional type of girl. And when I say emotional, I don't mean like the super exaggerated, always sad crying type that can sometimes be found in media. I mean that she's just very in tune with her emotions and isn't afraid to express them. Honestly, I imagine her to be very similar to Katara from Avatar: The Last Airbender. You know, she's a great character that wasn't afraid to show how she was feeling. When she was sad or upset, she'd sit in her sadness and process it, cry if she needed to. If she was angry, she was fiery and furious in her anger and showed it. If she was jealous, it was written all over her face and body language, more so than anyone else, even when she didn't want to admit it. She very much wore her heart on her sleeve, sometimes to a fault, and that's what I imagine this character to be like. Let's call her Maya. It's a great name that means mother or nurse. I thought it suited this character, who I imagine to be a very caring, nurturing soul. Kind of the mom friend of the group. She'll organize the get-togethers, cook everyone food, take care of her friends when they get sick, but she'll also be the first person to call any of them out on their BS when they're being dumb or immature. She sometimes runs into the problem of coming off as a hypocrite though, as she, also being just a young adult, sometimes has immature impulses that she acts on and will usually fight to justify them. The name Maya also has origins in indigenous Polynesian culture, where it is a Maori name that means brave or confident. And she also embodies this definition, as she's very much the type to stand confidently in her decisions and will always heroically try to rush in to help or save someone, often without thinking of the consequences that might come upon her. For her magical power, it's probably really basic, but I just thought she had this giant paintbrush and she could magically paint sentient beings that could assist her in battle or maybe even act independently. Basically just a summoning power, except the limit is her creativity. You know, she isn't stuck to a contract where she can only summon frogs or something. She can literally paint whatever she wants as her companion. She could probably even make up her own creature if she wanted to. And if it's okay for me to say this, she's honestly the one that I think came out the best of all the girls I drew. I love her magical girl outfit so much. I think she's very adorable. This third student is the clay artist. She's just the girl that's here to have fun, to be honest. As a kid, she was the kind of tomboyish type who liked running around barefoot outside and playing in the mud, and she eventually developed into that elementary schooler that, you know those little girls in grade school that would go to the muddy part of the playground by the fountain and just start making little jars out of the mud? Basically doing amateur pottery? Yeah, that was her. She was one of those, and she never stopped. It became her favorite pastime, and it got to the point where she'd done it so much, she just became really, really good at it. Her parents eventually started buying her actual pottery tools as they recognized her growing skill. By the time she was in high school, her ceramic dishes had filled the cabinets of her house, and she had successfully done many, many commissions for people in her neighborhood. She also branched out into other ways of making clay art. She now knows how to use a pottery wheel instead of just completely using her hands. She learned how to sculpt large busts and figurines, and she even sometimes used polymer clay to make little trinkets. Since she had so much success in her craft as a teenager, her family 100% supported her decision to apply to CellArts, where her portfolio stunned the school board. Not only because she was already so skilled and successful, but also because they saw she still had so much potential to grow, and they knew that she would do so rapidly with the help of their professors. She was awarded a full ride. I made her pretty short for no other reason than all 3 pottery instructors I've had in my life have all been really short women. And now my mind just associates being a master potter with being a really tiny woman. So for her magical girl powers, yeah, she's basically just an earthbender. Or I guess a mudbender would be more accurate. She's able to manipulate any kind of mud or malleable dirt as she wishes. It just seemed like the most obvious choice for the superpower for a clay artist. For her magical girl form, I wanted to make her seem kind of out of place and uncomfortable, since she's meant to be more of a tomboy, you know? She doesn't really have a choice but to wear this super girly dress when she transforms and she just doesn't like it. I was going for that type of thing. But I don't know, I think she looks a bit too weird in the dress. Let me know what you think, it might just all be in my head. I decided to name her Jaden Jacobs, but all her close friends and family just call her JJ. So this is the animation student, and I will say I had the most fun drawing her in her normal attire. I remember when I was in college, a lot of the animation students were super cool and chill, but also just seemed really tired, and like more than half the time a chunk of them would show up to class in pajama pants and a messy bun, like they just rolled out of bed, washed their face and rushed to class. So I wanted to capture that with her first design. This is Priya Pramana. She is the daughter of first-generation immigrants born to a family of 5 children, including a fraternal twin sister. Sadly, Priya spent much of her childhood within the plain walls of hospital rooms as she was severely ill. Her family spent years going from doctor to doctor, hospital to hospital, until they finally found a facility that would take her in for weeks at a time over a course of a year for treatment for her illness. And it was successful. She was cured, and she was grateful that her family did so much for her to live. But it seems that their daughter just being alive wasn't quite enough for them. See, during all those long stays in the hospital, Priya would either be scared or lonely. She hated being in the hospital, and while her family would visit when they could, it usually wasn't for very long. So she found comfort in watching cartoons, animated TV shows and movies that would make her forget how scared she was, characters that she related to and helped her feel less lonely. Over time, she started asking the nurses for pencils and paper so she could draw these characters that she loved so much, and maybe even make up her own. By the time she was healthy again, Priya had a new passion for art and animation. However, that didn't sit well with her strict immigrant parents. They told her that they loved she had a new hobby that she could be expressive with, but it was unacceptable to pursue it as anything more than that. After all, they sacrificed everything to get their children the opportunity to achieve successful careers and lives. Priya's 3 older siblings were an accountant, a nurse, and a lawyer respectively. And even her twin sister decided that she would go to school to be a doctor, motivated by the fact that she had to grow up seeing her sister so sick and could do nothing to help. So Priya bit her tongue and told her parents that she would also pursue the medical field and apply to the same university as her twin, stating that they would be by each other's side as they become doctors together. However, a weird feeling kept eating away at her. The feeling that she needs to at least try to pursue her real dream. So, without telling anyone, not even her twin, Priya secretly put together a portfolio and sent it, along with an application form, to CellArts. If I don't get accepted, I'll just be a doctor, and no one will have to know I did this. But if I do get it, then maybe that's a sign that this is what I'm meant for. That's what she thought. And so it happened that she not only got accepted, but received a pretty hefty scholarship as well. Priya was over the moon, at least for a little while, until her family found out. Long story short, Priya, with everything that she'd been through, has now been relegated to being the family disappointment. She hasn't been literally disowned, but with the way she's treated, she might as well have been. The only one who shows her any kind of empathy and understanding is, of course, her twin, but even she holds a bit of resentment as she feels betrayed that Priya went against their promise to become doctors together. After leaving for college, Priya decided that since her family shut her out so much, that she would live without regard for what they thought. Not that she went completely buck wild or anything, but she got a few tattoos and piercings that she knows her parents would absolutely hate, and she dyed her hair pink. Her magical girl powers involve the ability to control one's movement in time. After all, that is a big part of animation. I think it would be something akin to being able to change someone's individual frame rate for their movement, or even stop their movement completely. Maybe she could capture someone in a moment and scrub back and forth through their actions like how animators scrub back and forth through the frames of their project. It would kind of be like a weird form of time control, which I think is pretty cool. This last student is the fabric artist, or textile artist, and I decided to name her Kelly. Kelly was raised in foster care and didn't have much growing up, and pretty much all her belongings were hand-me-downs, including her clothes. After starting middle school and having to deal with the horror that is her middle school peers, she started to hate wearing the old clothes of her foster siblings, especially since some of the people at her school knew her siblings and would often point out that she was wearing hand-me-downs. She wanted to fit in and wear cool, trendier clothes like her classmates, so she started using her foster mom's old sewing machine and taught herself how to sew. At first, it started with small simple stuff like little creative patchwork on her hand-me-downs, or repurposing her older brother's jeans into her favorite pair of denim shorts. But before she knew it, she was making her own clothes. Sometimes she would use the fabric from outfits that were handed down to her. Other times she would go to a cheap local yard sale or thrift store and spend the little money she got from her weekend job to buy new material. Before she finished her sophomore year of high school, she had started getting commissions from her fellow students and even a few teachers. She decided to invest the money she made back into her craft, buying better fabric and even trying other textiles. She eventually learned knitting, crocheting, and embroidering as well. She takes a lot of pride in her craft and boasts in the fact that everything she wears was altered or made by her own hands with her own skill. Once again, I'm gonna kind of steal from another show, but I basically imagined her magical powers to be like Best Jeanist Quirk from My Hero Academia, who has the ability to manipulate clothing fibers at will. I also really like her magical girl dress. I think it's my second favorite right after Maya's. It's super cute. So here are the final lineups of the characters. Comment down below which design was your favorite, and also which character you relate to the most. If you made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching, I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed watching and want to see more content. Thanks again, and I'll see you all in the next video.